Hey, Credible 2. Thank you for your patience with making this video. I do have some points that I want to make. First of all, I wanted to correct some things that you said. You had made this illusion that somehow in this country you are forced to pay taxes. That is, that they put a gun to your head and force you to pay taxes. Now, that's not true. Your taxes are your citizenship in this country. If you don't want to be a citizen of this country, leave. I mean, if you don't want to pay taxes, just leave the country, you know. I can guarantee you that there's no other developed nation that doesn't have a taxation system. And of the developed nations in this country, the United States has one of the lowest taxation systems. You know, you can look at some stats online, and it's pretty evident that, you know, most developed countries are above the United States, far above when it comes to taxes. So, you know, taxation, I personally believe, is a necessary evil. I don't like paying taxes. No, nobody does, but we realize that without taxes, we wouldn't have a military, we wouldn't have police force, fire department, education system, roads, you know, bridges, all that type of stuff. We need taxes to pay for that. So, you know, one could argue that you could tax tariffs and other things to pay for it, but really that's not going to work. You really need to have tax. So, taxes are a necessary evil. Now, like I said, you know, if you also made another point that I wanted to bring up. You said that there were some programs that you didn't think you should have to pay for. I want to know what those programs are. What do you think that you don't have to pay for? And also why it is that instead of, you know, I mean, you can complain on YouTube about it all you want, but really what you should be doing is voting people in office that, you know, support the, you know, programs that you want to support and not the ones you don't want to support. And, you know, if you think that there's nobody out there that supports the things that you want to support, then why aren't you running for office yourself? You know, there are plenty of different things you can do to change the system. That's one of the reasons why a democratic system is so great, because you have the power to change it. Now, you know, if you haven't done any of that stuff, you haven't called your congressman, you haven't, you know, gone and fought for your money, then you are basically pissing your money away, you know. And you can't blame the government for you not taking control of your own money. Because we, the people, control the government. We're the ones that vote them in. We're the ones that, you know, they're employed by us. They're employed by us. So if you don't want something in our government to be paid for, then it's up to you to complain about it, write your congressman, or vote them out of office if they're not listening to you. Okay, so that's my point on that. Now, if you don't want to pay taxes at all, that's fine. Leave the country. Now, I found some information for you in case you do want to leave the country. There's this website called privateislandsonline.com, and it's a really good deal in an island here off the coast of Brazil. For 36,103 acres, that's a mere price of $10 million. Now, you might think, well, I don't have $10 million, so I'm never going to be able to pay for this. Well, think of it this way. I did a little bit of math for you. If you get about 3,300 people to pitch in about $3,300, you'll have plenty of money to buy this island. So, you know, all you have to do is gather together 3,300 people, which shouldn't be too hard. I'm sure there's 3,300 people in the United States that don't like paying taxes. And get them to get $3,300 each. That's less than a price of a used car. I'm sure if someone's motivated enough, they can get that type of money. So you get together, $3,300 each, and you buy your own island. Yay. You know, now you have a couple issues. First of all, in the Brazilian coast, right, we all know there's pirates there and other types of militia groups that will try to infiltrate your island and take it over. So you're going to need to form a militia. And you have two choices when it comes to forming a militia. You can either force the people who live on the island to be drafted into the military. That's choice number one. Or you can force them to pay taxes to hire a militia, or, you know, within your group, or recruit people to be in a militia and pay them and things like that. So you've got either a forced militia situation or a taxation situation. So that's one of two ways to get your army, really. That's the only way to do it. So there's that. Then you realize that with 3,300 people on an island, people aren't going to get along. People are going to steal from each other. People are going to wrong each other. You're going to need a police force. So there's that. Then you're going to need to set up a fire department as well. And you're also going to realize that in order to get a good economy going, you're going to need to set up a public education system. Because if people aren't properly educated and can't get good jobs, they're just going to steal from each other and fill up the jails instead of being productive working citizens. And so with all this going now, you've got a police force, a militia, education, and fire department, and all these things are going to need to be paid for with taxes. Then you realize that people are going to want things like roads on the island to get from one place to another. People are also going to want a tourism industry, so you're going to want things like libraries and museums, aquariums, other things like historical monuments and stuff like that for people to go to because you want a tourism industry. So with that, you've got more taxes that you're going to have to tax the people. Now, like I said, you can impose tariffs and do other things to raise money in order to fund these programs, but it's not going to be enough to fund them all. So you either have to have a low quality of life for your people, or you're going to have to tax them. One way or the other. You choose. But, you see the cycle that you get into. You can leave and go someplace else and start over again. But if you want a civilized society, society with any type of quality of life, you're going to need taxes. I don't like paying taxes either. I personally think that I get too much taxes taken out of my paycheck, and I also think that if you're not old enough to vote and decide for yourself what goes into, our government and what gets taken out, what gets paid for and what's not. So in other words, if you're a minor under the age of 18, I don't think you should have to pay taxes. But, I think that if you are an adult citizen of the United States with your own voting rights, your own rights to decide who's going to be in office and who's not, and what's going to get paid for and what's not, then you yourself have a right to take your money into your own hands and say, this is what I want paid for, I don't want this paid for, and if your congressman or your mayor or your elected officials are not paying attention to you, then you have a right to vote them out of office. So, that's my point on taxation. It's a necessary evil. It needs to be done if you want any type of quality of life. If you want to, be a hermit and not live with anybody else and just, go off and live on a, little scratch of land by yourself, then you can do that, but you better carry your gun under your pillow because someone's going to come and try to take something from you. You're just getting back into the same cycle. You need protection, and that's what government provides, is protection. Anyway, I think that's basically my own point. I'd like you to answer those questions for me that I asked you, and blessed be.